Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star 2 episode number 209 based on novel. So let's start. The Land of Eternity, 29 beings rarely gathered. Luo Feng, when will your celebration as a lord take place? Carfu asked with a smile. I haven't been to your cultivator territory for a long time, so I could also take the opportunity to explore it well. The other undying beings also looked at Luo Feng. For Luo Feng's celebration, they would almost all send avatars to attend. The mysterious land I control, the Blood Crane territory, is currently migrating back to the cultivator territory, Luo Feng said with a smile. Once the Blood Crane territory reaches my hometown, that will be the time for the celebration. Those who rely on controlling a mysterious land to remain undying usually hold their celebrations in the mysterious land, so no one was surprised by Luo Feng's decision. Sister Shoju, do you have time to venture into the Tong Valley together? The peculiar cube demon ruins asked. All right. The grey-robed woman Shoju nodded. I can go whenever. Let's set off after this gathering. Demon Ruins looked around. Anyone who wants to join us can come along. Together, the infinite snake ancestor also chimed in. In total, 6 undying beings were willing to journey together to the Tong Valley. Luo Feng listened from the side. He had also learned much about the mysterious lands from the information cache of the land of origin. Tong Valley is a mysterious valley nurtured by the endless primordial space, where terrifying attacks descend without pattern. Only a handful have crossed the entire Tong Valley. The greatest benefit of the Tong Valley is experiencing attacks that surpass all life forms. It has a certain impact on exploring one's own path forward. Shoju has visited the Tong Valley the most, and some of her killing techniques were developed based on the attacks of the Tong Valley. The 29 beings of the Land of Eternity, and the 4 major factions. Luo Feng observed their conversation and noticed some interesting points. The innate primordial camp, cultivator camp, ice peak camp, and the independent faction. The first 3 major factions hardly pay attention to each other. Instead, the proposals from the independent faction are more likely to be accepted by all parties. We 8 lords of the cultivators are indeed different. Luo Feng listened to the conversation. These ancestors meet for adventures, meet to explore treasures. But the cultivator lords rarely get involved. The cultivator lords mainly rely on enlightenment, occasionally exploring mysterious lands that resonate with them. As for other resources, protecting the resources of the 3,600 world groups is enough. They have no ambition for resources in a broader territory. After traveling for a full 10 eras, the mysterious land, Blood Crane territory, finally arrived at the Dark World Group. Now the Dark World Group has been renamed the Galaxy World Group, and the Dark Sacred Realm has been renamed the Galaxy Sacred Realm. This is something every lord does. Each will rename their absolute territory to a name they like. Blood Crane territory, vast and boundless, is home to over 7.5 billion high-level primordial life forms. Blood Crane territory clan. Only a small portion remains under Luo Feng's command, while others have been sent to work hard in other lords' territories. This is the case for all 8 cultivator lords. Even if they personally enslave high-level primordial and world-level primordial, they will still share with the entire camp. The celebration is finally over. Luo Feng sent off many guests. Even the innate primordial camp sent avatars, with 6 emperors including the infinite snake ancestor, and there were as many as 31 avatars from the ordinary ancestor. The Ice Peak camp also sent as many as 21 avatars, along with avatars from many weaker forces. More than 100 ancestor avatars came to witness. The number of ancestor avatars from the spectators can also reflect the influence of the celebration host in the endless primordial space. Like the 3 emperors of the Thunder Sea, their celebrations attract far fewer spectators. We've left. Brother Luo Feng, no need to see us off. After all the other guests departed, the other 7 cultivator lords left one by one, with only Lord Mo Man remaining at the end. Luo Feng. Mo Man approached Luo Feng and said, "You promised to help me before. Right now?" Luo Feng asked, "I can set off any time." Mo Man smiled upon hearing this, pleased with Luo Feng's straightforwardness. It's not time yet, there's a very special mysterious land, fluctuation land, which I can only discover once every 100,000 eras. It will appear again in about 5,000 eras. Once it appears, we must set out immediately. Okay, no problem, Luo Feng responded. Thanks. Mo Man took a step, and his entire figure transformed into a wave and disappeared. Luo Feng stood amidst the endless blood sea, the blood-colored robe on his body fluttering in the air. Finally, I have time to retreat completely and contemplate the primordial blade path. Luo Feng thought as he gazed into the distance. Not far away in spacetime is the origin continent source world. Blood Crane territory is very close to the origin continent source world. If, in the future, unthinkable crises arise, Luo Feng will move the Blood Crane territory again. It would take only a few moments for the Blood Crane territory to reach close to the origin continent. The endless blood sea can fully protect the origin continent source world. According to known circumstances, nothing should be able to threaten the source world where I personally reside. But the source world of my hometown is related to the life and safety of my relatives and friends. With the origin continent source world in place, I can easily resurrect creatures. But if the source world is gone, there's no way to resurrect. Luo Feng must ensure that the hometown source world is safe and sound. Asterisk 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 asterisk. In the endless primordial space, conflict never stops. The Ice Peak camp, which was just at a loss in the cultivator camp, had some ancestors bully weaker forces around them, forcibly taking more resources. These weaker forces refuse to join the major camps. They do have some confidence, and naturally, the fights are fierce. The innate primordial camp and the cultivator camp remain relatively quiet, having fought too fiercely before. One side lost 11 ancestors, the other saw many territories fall, and numerous source worlds were destroyed. Both sides are now resting and recuperating. This time, the war was truly worth it. A colossal sphere of light, containing endless light within, this is the true body of the infinite ancestor. As one of the top 3 powers of the innate primordial camp, the infinite ancestor has never reached the stage of undying and undying. Therefore, it stands firmly with the main battle faction. It needs enough trials, needs ample resources, to help itself advance further. Through the long ages, countless obstacles, until today, I have finally grasped the hope of undying and undying, truly seeing the path ahead clearly. At this moment, the infinite ancestor is very joyful. I must thank this war, must thank Lord Luo Feng. It was due to Luo Feng's origin great destruction, the terrifying might of that swept over a vast area. As the infinite ancestor focused on rescuing companions, its endless light endured the impact under Luo Feng's origin great destruction. That terrifying energy storm. That incredibly dazzling light. Sweeping across dozens of ancestors, gravely injuring as many as 26 ancestors. That is the true endless light. Endless light should have infinite might. The infinite ancestor understands, that is its path forward. It only needs to go further, then it can transform into that incredibly dazzling light. To have infinite might, I need to be even purer. Even the life core must completely integrate into the light. At that time, the life core will be everywhere, can appear in any ray of light in the endless primordial space, then I will be truly undying and undying. The infinite ancestor glimpsed its path, then immediately began absorbing the resources accumulated over the long ages. With resources supplied, actively guiding the growth of the life core also starts to transform very slowly. This process is also full of hardships and obstacles. The clearer the understanding of the path ahead, the smoother the life core transformation can be. Where is my path? Silent Extinction Ancestor, one of the 9 emperors of the innate primordial camp, is also one of the top 3 powers within the camp. It also searches bitterly for the path to undying and undying, yet finds no hope. I explore all possibilities, only one path has a glimmer of hope. To achieve undying and undying, one must first return to silent extinction, seeking immortality in extinction. But this path, the likelihood of complete death is probably over 99%. Silent Extinction Ancestor sighed. This path, it is unwilling to take. because the possibility of success is too slim. In terms of strength, it already rivals the cultivator lords. Even if the cultivator lords joined forces, they can't kill it. There's only a theoretical possibility of it being killed. Such an existence, how could it gamble on a path with a death rate over 99%? Marvelous, marvelous, marvelous. In the cultivator camp, in the land of origin, Yuan is currently reading the legacy written by Luo Feng. Brother Luo Feng's research on origin can be described as the best in the entire infinite primordial space. Yuan is very delighted. The 8 lords all have achieved enlightenment. Their depth of research is generally much greater than that of the ancestors. Luo Feng's primordial life and death Tao focuses on life, with the origin system being the core of his path. My path just needs the origin system. Yuan carefully studies the legacy, absorbing the parts beneficial to himself. The primordial rule operation path he practices, as the number of Divine King ultimate realm paths he discerns increases, the power of this rule operation path also enhances. But Yuan failed in his attempt to create a source world. It is because the source world requires, besides rule operation, the integration of many Daos into origin. Luo Feng, it's the life and death origin. And I need to combine many great Daos into origin. A source world requires at least 9 great Daos. 9 great Daos combined into origin. Much more complex than Luo Feng's life and death origin. Yuan is also quite troubled. The primordial life and death Dao is a fused single Dao, due to its many characteristics in the direction of life, can easily transform into origin, constructing 1,080,000,000 origins with ease. At least 9 great Daos to be combined into origin. If I pursue more great Daos, the origin integration system becomes even more complex. Despite feeling that the road is difficult, Yuan is still very joyful. Because Luo Feng's very detailed origin system has pointed him in the direction. But once successful, the primordial rule operation path, with an added origin system, that will be a true qualitative change. Inside as origin, outside as rule operation. Internal and external as one, can then create the source world. At least the path ahead is clear. Yuan continued to practice in seclusion. The 8 lords of the cultivator camp each had their own affairs. Starlight diligently repaired various parts of the space-time net. Jin once again ventured alone to explore the abyss of destruction. Mo Man continued to roam transformed into ripples in the endless primordial space. Wulan leisurely nurtured the bloodline descendants while Luo Feng was comprehending the primordial blade path within the blood crane territory. Unconsciously, 3,000 eras have passed. The endless, vast blood sea floats alone, and this enormous mysterious land now has only one creature, Luo Feng. As for the submitted blood crane territory clan, they have all been dispatched to serve the cultivator camp. In the blood sea, an island condenses, and on the island are some rare trees and plants. Luo Feng sits alone, drinking a fine brewed wine. As a lord, his demand for external things is very low, and some resources are specifically used for brewing wine and making gourmet food. 3 millennia, and I've encountered a bottleneck. Luo Feng drinks his wine and suddenly feels something, gazing afar. His gaze penetrates through endless time and space to a very remote place from the cultivator territory, where there is a source world. The creatures of that source world cultivate without any guiding inheritance, relying entirely on their exploration, making it countless times more difficult than the source worlds within the cultivator territory. They frequently face being devoured by world-level primordial or even ancestors. Even innate primordials like to devour the creatures within source worlds. In such a harsh environment, the source world currently has a creature who has cultivated to the ultimate realm of the godly king, breaking through the source world membrane wall with a secret technique and temporarily staying outside the source world, curiously observing the scene of the infinite primordial space. Is this the world beyond? The creature is very curious. In his home source world, he is absolutely invincible. Because there is no complete cultivation system, other than him, no other creature can explore to the godly king tier. He is the pathfinder of this world. Beyond the cultivator territory is a place full of tribulations. You can summarize a cultivation system and achieve the ultimate realm of the godly king. It's indeed impressive. A wave appears next to him. It is Lord Mo Man. Come with me, little one. Lord Mo Man directly guides this little being. Luo Feng watches from afar. Mo Man transforms into countless waves, spreading across the infinite primordial space, and occasionally brings back extraordinary talents from countless source worlds outside the cultivator territory. Starlight Lord observes past, present, and future, and once discovering talented ones, he also goes to guide them. The task of guiding talented cultivators outside the cultivator territory mainly falls on Mo Man and Starlight. What they can do is only this much. Even the lords can't protect all source worlds. Outside the cultivator territory, there's an even vaster range, the countless source worlds and creatures there are truly living in the nightmare world. Luo Feng is very aware of this but feels powerless. The 3,600 world groups are just a small area in the infinite primordial space. Because this area's world group is dense, resources are dense, the cultivator camp fully protects it. In fact, given the vastness of the infinite primordial space, even if the world's groups in other regions are sparse, their cumulative total amount is still much more than the 3,600 world groups. Why only the innate primordial camp wars with us, while other forces aren't as hostile? It's because there's still much vaster areas with many world groups providing food for those innate primordials. Luo Feng's eyes hold coldness. The rules of this infinite primordial space operate too cruelly for cultivators. He admits, the individual strength of a lord is immense. But among the countless source world's creatures, how many can break out of the cage? Without breaking out of the cage, the countless creatures of the source worlds have no capacity to resist against the innate primordials. Even the source world origin will be devoured by world-level primordials and even ancestors. Without lordly protection, those source worlds are repeatedly devoured, and even the eating speed must be planned. Luo Feng's gaze penetrates various time spaces, and he can see many nightmare-like scenes if he chooses to look. Whether it's the innate primordial camp, the Ice Peak camp, or other weaker forces. Primordials born are part of their food range. Of course, the food at the level of source world origin can only be enjoyed by world-level primordials or ancestors. The cultivator territory is peaceful, but what about outside the territory? Luo Feng easily sees world-level primordial devouring one source world after another, and the creatures within source worlds are exterminated. Every moment, countless creatures face extinction. Yet I can do nothing. Even as a lord, what he can do remains limited. The distances are too far, reaching many areas would take hundreds of days or even longer at his speed. If he merely sends a thought over long distances, he cannot rival a world-level primordial. Only 8 lords guarding 3,600 world groups, and they already face wars. If we want to protect all source worlds in the infinite primordial space, I'm afraid all foreign forces would unite. Luo Feng understands this. Innate primordial camp, Ice Peak camp, and numerous weak forces would probably join forces. Numerous undying beings and a larger number of ancestors would quickly crush the entire cultivator camp. Still too weak? Luo Feng is confident, but currently, among the 8 lords, he isn't sure he ranks 3rd. In the infinite primordial space, he isn't sure he is in the top 10. Primordial Blade Path. Luo Feng frowns. With my current comprehension, insight, and thinking speed, in 3 millennia I have already understood 90% of the primordial blade path, and have a clear prototype, but I've encountered a bottleneck. In fact, it's already much faster than Wulan, Jin, Minghuang, etc. people. 3 millennia of continuous progress form a clear framework. A complete prototype. Yet, there was still a bottleneck obstructing me. My primordial blade path consists of approximately 87% destruction and 13% life, fused together. The small integration of the life system mainly involves aspects such as life chi mechanism lock, life cutting, life entanglement, etc. When it comes to locking onto a target, destruction also has killing intent lock, and when merged with life chi mechanism lock, the ability to lock onto enemies naturally reaches a very high level. Luo Feng's primordial blade path is all about locking onto the enemy and pursuing various destruction techniques, the stronger, the better. Yet my primordial blade path still lacks something to form a perfect whole. Luo Feng was quite vexed. The deficiency should be the accumulation in the area of destruction. Luo Feng once thought the accumulation in destruction was deep enough since he had comprehended all the high-level primordial materials, world-level primordial materials, and ancestor-level materials accumulated by the cultivator camp. He also reviewed the heritage of the other 7 lords. Jin's heritage focused on destruction, but Jin's personality made his path incompatible with Luo Feng, who could only extract parts of the information. Having previously grasped the primordial life and death Tao. At that time, the accumulation in destruction was sufficient. But now, focusing on destruction, the accumulation is no longer enough. The sky-splitting saber originates from the abyss of destruction. Luo Feng turned his hand to look at the saber in his hand. Across the entire infinite primordial space, the abyss of destruction undoubtedly contains the most destruction power. The abyss of destruction is the highest tier mysterious land. Like the land of eternity and fire prison wall, they are all recognized by various powers of the infinite primordial space as the highest tier and are seen as places where the hope of refining and control is unseen, and even the origins of these places cannot be found. The abyss of destruction contains every known and unknown destruction power. The abyss of destruction is like a bottomless abyss. From the outermost first layer of the destruction world, one can continuously delve into the second layer, third layer. It is necessary to kill through all obstacles in a layer and imprint one's life mark onto the origin phantom of that layer to become the master of that layer of the destruction world. Luo Feng had long known the detailed information of the source of destruction. In fact, almost every ancestor in the infinite primordial space has explored the abyss of destruction. How is the true combat strength of these ancient beings in infinite primordial space, ranked in the top 10, top 20, top 30, determined? It mainly depends on their performance in the abyss of destruction. Up till now, the deepest layer reached in the abyss of destruction is by the Ice Peak Camp's Shoju, and she is the master of the 27th layer of the destruction world. The Starlight Lord is the master of the 26th layer of the destruction world. The reason why Starlight is one layer behind is that Shoju rose to dominance too long ago, taking the 27th layer first, thus using terrain to block Starlight from breaking her obstacles and refining the 27th layer. Starlight has also tried, but could not kill through the 28th layer of the destruction world. This shows that the capabilities of Starlight and Shoju in destruction are nearly indistinguishable. They are also recognized as the top 2 in strength in the infinite primordial space. Weaker than them is the master of the 22nd layer of the destruction world, Demon Ruins. As for the 23rd to 25th layers of the destruction world, they are unclaimed. This also represents that the Starlight Lord and Shoju are clearly stronger than the other beings. The 22nd layer to the first layer all have masters. From this, their strength can be judged to some extent. Aside from the new Lord Luo Feng, the other 7 lords each have an avatar occupying a layer in the abyss of destruction. Yuan is in the 19th layer of the destruction world. Mo Man is in the 13th layer of the destruction world. Jin is in the 12th layer of the destruction world. Ming Huang is in the 11th layer of the destruction world. Nai Jiyu is in the 9th layer. Wulan is in the 7th layer. Thanks to their performance in the abyss of destruction, Starlight is acknowledged as having one of the top 2 strengths, Yuan is acknowledged within the top 10 of the infinite primordial space, and the other lords are all stable within the top 20 strengths. But this ranking has a flaw: it's not very friendly to those who excel in survival. For example, the initial ancestor with the strongest defense has a rather mediocre kill ability and couldn't even take the first layer of the destruction world. Wulan, the cultivator lord, although slower in speed and clumsier with techniques, wields enormously powerful moves, allowing him to occupy the 7th layer. Yet all sides know, at critical moments, beings like Initial, Wulan, and Luo Feng, who specialize in defense and life, might play a bigger role. The Abyss of Destruction proves only one's ability to kill enemies. The Abyss of Destruction contains all known and unknown destruction power. Luo Feng stood within the Blood Crane territory, clad in black, draped with a blood-red robe, Go to the abyss of destruction, continue to enhance my accumulation in destruction, hoping it helps me to break through the bottleneck and fully master the primordial blade path. Carrying the sky-splitting saber, this avatar of Luo Feng, the main battle avatar, stepped forth out of the Blood Crane territory and headed towards the abyss of destruction. This video will end here.